I just feel like there's this real level of excitement in the nation at the moment. I don't mean just England, but it feels like the Euros are almost going to mark,
Well, you
hopefully,
do,
the
would
beginning
you?
of it all. No, I don't. Because I mean that lockdown, it might just be the end of lockdown. It might be the beginning of an amazing
Yeah, of
summer, and we
course.
might have some excellent football to watch. So, in general, but yeah, I do just mean England, Ali. No, I don't. Darren, let's talk about Gareth Southgate and the job that he's done with England so far, because those memories that we just heard in that package give you goosebumps when you listen back to it, don't they?
They do, yeah. I mean, getting to that semi-final against Croatia, it was outstanding. It kind of brought the whole nation back together. For a long, long time, I think there'd been a bit of a gap between the fans and the players on the pitch. Maybe that connection had been lost a little bit, but certainly he brought it back. It was fantastic to watch. Disappointing we couldn't get past Croatia, but at the end I think he would have learnt a lot from that experience, and I think they've got a better chance now than they had that time around, because I think you can have two years on. I think there's better players in this squad, players more experienced, players have been there before as well, got to that semi-final, so I think England have got a great chance.
And there's so much talent, there's so much youth coming through. Looks like they're progressing. In a way, it's almost benefited from it being delayed by another year, because everyone's been able to find their feet a little bit more.
Yeah, and obviously they're going to give Gareth even more headache, because as you said there's another year on, but all these top players that we've got now that are playing all over Europe are better. They've got more time.
A break. But
and now
we'll revisit that. We'll also revisit Roy Keane versus Jamie Redknapp as well, where you stand on that. Actually, just really quickly, which side?
Understand
Roy Keane or
himself
Jamie
that
Redknapp?
whoever he leaves out, he's going to get criticised for it. Because if you leave Foden out, people are going to talk about that. You leave Grealish out, he's got that many options now that it really is going to be a difficult job. It's a good problem to have, but it's still a difficult job.
Ali, give some insight into how it feels as a manager when you're trying to pick your team and you're like, how much of a headache is it? Is headache the right word? How do you go about it?
Well, I'm not sure headache's the right word. But you'll have dilemmas, but I've got to say to you, Gareth will have more dilemmas than most because of the players that Bent has correctly mentioned. But I think he's got a problem before he starts picking a team. He's got a squad to pick.
Yeah.
You know, people will say, why are you not playing him in your team? You know, whether it's Grealish, Foden, Mount, whoever it may be. But by the way, you think about some of the boys that are going to get left out the squad. That's as big a decision as he'll make. So it's very, very, very difficult. He won't be right no matter what squad he picks and what team he picks. He absolutely guarantee that Gareth won't be right in everybody's eyes, that's for sure. But that won't affect Gareth in any way, shape or form. He's got a job to do and he'll do it to the best of his ability. But I would have to say, would you, Darren, I think Gareth, in terms of picking his squad and picking his team, you use the word headache, and it's certainly a dilemma. But on one side of the coin, it's a great dilemma to have because, I mean, some of the players that won't make the squad, English players that won't make the squad, never mind won't make the team, will consider themselves rightly very, very unlucky.
Do you know what, Ali? Looking at, obviously, I've written down the team and positions. I'd say that probably the easiest position for him to pick, I think, in terms of numbers, is probably the two centre-halves, because you start looking around who's playing consistently well this season. Well, Stones has been outstanding. Maguire's been up and down. Mings has had a good season. Keane's having a good season. So I think out of all the positions on the pitch, I think the centre-backs would probably be his easiest choice. But when you start looking at the full-backs, midfield, and then up the top end of the pitch, I think that's where his headache's going to start.
I think you're right, mate. You know, and I agree with you with the centre back position, and that's why it'd be interesting to. Gareth clearly won't tell us what his plans are. We wouldn't expect that for a minute, but I just think at the forward-thinking players up the park, that's why I would probably go with 4 at the back rather than 3 centre backs, Darren. You know, because I would attempt to get my better players on the park, and I think, I don't know whether you agree or not, mate. I think England in forward areas are absolutely excellent.
Yeah, they are excellent.
I want to ask you a story about a question. Sorry, about a story that's breaking this morning. Boris has offered up British stadiums or Britain stadiums to host the whole European Championships, and that's as we obviously roll out the vaccines and it surges ahead and it's looking good and positive. That would make it even more special, really, wouldn't it, if it were all in the UK?
Yeah, but can you imagine the expectation as well at the same time? So, yeah, it'd be absolutely superb in terms of it being in this country. We could go to all the games, hopefully. And, yeah, it'd be brilliant. But as I said, you know what it's like. With English fans, they get a little bit excited and they think, you know what, this is going to be our year, this is going to be winning. But also I've been involved in squads as well where, as I said before, there's been a bit of a divide between the supporters and the fans. And you know what it's like. If England are not playing very well, they can't get a touch of the ball. The other team's playing them off the park. They can get onto your backs a little bit and they can make it even more difficult. So I think it'd be brilliant for us to be able to watch it in this country and go to the games. But obviously that will then take up the expectation levels another level.
Ali, what was the atmosphere like at Euro 96?
Oh, it was brilliant. I mean, but you could feel it grow. It wasn't great at the start, I've got to tell you. England, I think they drew the first game in Switzerland, and then they beat us 2-0. And I can tell you if the result kind of didn't go that way, you could have sensed it just exactly what Darren was talking about there. You could feel the fans kind of turning a little bit. But thankfully, from England's point of view, they got that, and then they absolutely kicked on and were unlucky and probably should have won the tournament. They followed up a victory over us with an unbelievable performance against Holland, which we still talk about to this day when they were tremendous. And then they went on. I thought they were fortunate to get through the game against Spain. And then they continued. And as I say, I think that tournament, along with the World Cup in 1990, were two tournaments that England could have won.